posted this week. I mentioned last week that I would be taking some time away from trading. This week into next week, we'll be taking some time away. Around the 4th of July, historically, I like to take time away. And it's good to have a break every so often from training. I think everybody needs some time away from the grind, right? Um, yeah, long story short, if you looked at Apex right now, Apex Trader Funding, you'll notice that there's an 80% off again. And the Trade C50 or TRADE, the C50, that coupon code will get you the 80% off as well. So Trade C50, if you use that coupon code, you should get 80% off to the next your 80%. Excuse me, your combine or your evaluation account, the EA, right? Obviously, the goal is to get from EA to the PA and then make some real money and then turn that real money into, things that you want and whatnot. So that's where I am right now. I'm still in the EA. Let me rephrase that. I'll be back in the EA again after the 5th of July. I'm going to take advantage of this 80% discount. I every so often you just need to take a step back and just you start pressing. I know as far as my trading goes, I know when I start pressing, it's time to take a break. Uh, you start giving back more than you're willing to give back because you're pressing a little too hard. Historically, that's what I do in my trading. I start pressing, and then when I do that, more times than not, that's about the time that I've been trading for too long. And the best thing you can do at that point is take a step back, take some time away from trading, regroup. Sometimes for me personally, it's usually 2 or 3 weeks before I get back in, because I get, you get to that point where you get kind of burned out. Day trading is the hardest thing you'll ever do in your lifetime as far as trading goes. When you're positionally trading, when you're swing trading, when you're doing any other thing on that curve, it's a lot easier to do anything in the curve except day trading. Day trading by far is the toughest thing, at least in my personal trading, that I've ever done over the last 20 plus years of my life that I've traded. So I started trading when I was 16. I remember the very first stock that I took on was Mellon Bank. That's where my dad was working at the time. And he allowed me to open up, well, with guardianship, right? I got to start trading when I was about 16. Now, officially, I didn't get started as a trader until my 20s. I worked for a company here in Pittsburgh. It was called Federated Investors when I first started. I graduated from Duquesne University, went to Federated Investors, was hired as a mutual fund accounting, went into trading about my third year there, and I was in the corporate bonds and treasuries and commercial paper, money markets, and so forth and so on. Then I took a job as a private in a private management position. I took a job as a trader with that company for another 5, 6 years. So it was about somewhere between, I think it was like 12 years of my life until my mid 30s when I went out on my own. So the last 20 plus years I've been trading on my own and from my own individual account. And I used to trade for others for a while. I got away from that in my early 40s and now I only trade my own account. So I've been trading my own account for, well, long time. And a lot of my earlier gains that I had when my dad was living went into real estate investment trust and into limited partnerships, and we were able to put money away that way. Which obviously I wish he was still living because he had a good ear to the ground when it come to that kind of uh, 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 trading. So as time went on, I opened up a Robinhood account, an Acorn account, and odds and ends, Charles Schwab, TD, was it TD Waterhouse, or I forget what it's called now, but I opened up different accounts as time went on. I started investing in my own real estate investment trust. The casino that I work with, they're called GLPI. I invest in that. So they had a nice dividend here recently. So I started getting involved in option trading as time went on. But my background really was in futures. I started trading futures. Took a course from 10 gallon hat guy. What is his name? Ken. Uh, can't think of his name right now. Anyway, so it'll come to me at some point. But he had it was called Twampum, the world's most powerful money management system or something like that. Anyway, he called it Twampum. Ken, what's his name? It's going to bother me for a while. Anyway, so took a course when I was probably in my early 20s at that time. He talked about how silver was going to go to the moon back in the day, and so we're still waiting for silver to go to the moon. How about this? I go into treasure hunt here just the other day. I think it was yesterday, the day before yesterday. I took the car in to get fixed and had to get a couple new tires. Anyway, so I went into our local silver gold exchange area. It's called Treasure Hunt. I was looking to buy. I always like to buy American Silver Eagles for my boys every year and collect them. Get two every year, at least for them. I hadn't got 2022 yet, but I like silver pricing. It's at 20 right now. It's a good time to buy some physical silver again. So I was looking to buy some, and they were. I thought, well, it's around the silver price is around 2021. I should be able to pick up the silver rounds. In this case, the American Silver Eagle. I should be able to pick up that at least for. I was thinking $10 over spot price, around 30, 31, and they were quoting me $37.50 yesterday. I thought, well, gee whiz, I said that's $16.50 over spot right now. And well, we have to pick it up from the mint and whatnot, and we don't have like, so I'm like really $16.50 over spot. I said I can get it up on eBay. I can get it anywhere else. And I thought, well, just because I'd like to give the local market some business, I said I'll give you, I'll go to 32 maybe. Oh no, we can't do that. I said, well, they're going to sit in there until. I said price is at 20. Well, obviously they didn't want to sell them that bad, but I thought $32 on the little silver American Eagles would have been a good price for them. So I'll just wait and bide my time. I was willing to go about $11 over spot. Uh, I don't normally buy anything about $10 over the spot price is about where I like to buy the silver. It's what you should be able to. Um, with inflationary costs right now, it's been a little bit harder to get a hold of stuff at a decent price because they're using that against an inflation hedge right now. You would think silver would be a good gold and silver would be a great place to be for the inflationary hedge, but there really has been no market except for the inflationary bond series right now. I think was it 9 point something percent if you lock up enough money over 3 years. It's about the only thing that I've seen recently. The bonds that you can buy on the inflation side, the inflationary series bonds. That's about the only thing that seems to be holding anything in value right now. That's going down to how good the American economy can be at some point, right? Right now, you can get 9% on your money, and that's about the only place I've seen that you can do anything worthwhile. You just have to lock up money for a long period of time, which I haven't been able and haven't been willing to do at this point in time. I got involved in cryptocurrencies as time went on. As everyone, I've been taking a hit. I actually made money in Shiba and Bitcoin and Ethereum and sold off some. I've been buying back at these lows right now that we're at again. So I still think it's a great buying opportunity over the summer right now. I don't like to buy. The best thing about cryptocurrencies is you don't buy them at the highs, right? When you see them getting back into the lows, this is the time to buy. So it's always, and it's with extra money. Everything I say is with only invest in money that you can afford to lose, right? If you think about our dollar, for instance, or the $100 C note, or whatever you want to call it, it's all based on the greater fool theory. How much is someone willing to digital currency? It's all our money supply is based on a digital currency system. They just print zeros behind a dollar figure and say, okay, we create money out of thin air. It's the same kind of philosophy as cryptocurrency, right? So in my mind, it's the same thing. It's the greater fool theory being played out in cryptocurrency, in the silver market, and everything that you have. There's, as long as there's a buyer against the seller, you're going to find a market, right? And that's something I learned years ago. The greater fool theory part of the business. So a market's going to go up as high as it's going to go until there's no more buyers willing to buy at that price, right? As a trader, I've had moments where I've been the last tick on that buy, and it's gone down. On the other side, I've been the last tick on a sell, and it's gone up. So if you're in long enough and you're trading long enough, you're going to have those moments. I remember Joe Ross talking about it when he was living at the time. Talking when he Trading Educators is his company that he founded and he went through. And I went down and trained with him in Austin, Texas. One of the a great trading guy and a great trading mind that I learned a lot from. 123, his 123 setups, his Ross hook, still things that I use to this day that I learned under him. Um, Tom Williams is another great individual who's since passed away. Gavin Holmes runs his company now, but I had learned under Tom Williams back in the day. So he does the VSA stuff, the volume spread analysis. Uh, Larry Williams, another great trader, still living, he runs a website called ireallytrade.com. It's one of the best traders I've ever seen in person trade. He could take real money and trade. And one of the great stories about Larry Williams, when he won one of his early contests in the commodity fields, um, he actually was up, I think up over 2 million or something, or close to it. And he gave about half of his gains back in the last month or two before the contest quit, but he still won it with like a 1.2 million account. And who else do I like? Um, well, if you read my website, you know I like Ralph Nelson Will Elliott with the um, Elliott wave theory. You know that I like Wyckoff. He was a founder of the volume spread analysis type of stuff that I learned under. Um, who else was on my website? I'm trying to think about. I think I've covered everybody that. Oh, William Delbert Gann, right? Gann's one of the favorite trading signals that I've got that I like to use. The fourth time through, it's one of those great things when you're in a market that's going up. It does kind of like this, right? And you try to catch it coming back down, and you try to catch that right angle. One of the things that I struggle even to this day is when a top in, and when is a top, right? You have to you throw out your line and you think, well, that's kind of something that Jesse Livermore talked about, throwing out a line, right? If you throw out your line, you hope the market you show you're throwing a line out there and you're thinking, okay, this is the top end, and you're looking for that market to come back down again. So in this case, he would know when a top in and then being able to maximize that position as it moves in. It's hard to do in a day trading realm though, because you only have a certain amount of time before you have to exit that trade. In this case, like 4:05 Eastern time, you got to get out, and then you can't come back in until roughly after 6 o'clock into that trade again. So you can run a 24-hour period of time in these funded accounts, but you still got to exit your trade and take away from it and then add it back in. So I guess I've never really looked at it from that realm though. I've never looked at it from let's get into trade, let it run the day, and then get out. Because you have a certain amount of time and you have a certain amount of money that you have to make at a certain period of time. So I never looked at day trading as I'm going to get in and try to positionally trade that trade. It's a lot harder to do because you have the old company I worked with, you had a daily drawdown, you had a max daily loss, you had all these other things that you had to take into account. In Apex, you still have the same problems that you have in some of the others, right? You still have to keep that max trailing or threshold in mind when you're trading that market, right? So in this case, 2,500. You just can't put on a position and set and forget it. Um, I don't like trading like that as a day trader. I like to get in, get a quick gain, get out on some of it, and then hopefully with the second part of that, getting a bigger win. So you hear me talk about the tortoise and the hare type of thing that I like to do with two contracts. I like to be able to take kind of a small win on one and a bigger win on the second one whenever I can get a hold of it. I've had issues with Ninja Trader right now, being able how to click that middle mouse button to get the SLM trade in at the right point. So you're up 10, 15, 20 ticks, and you want to lock in those 20 ticks. And a lot of times I'll click that button and it gets me out, and I'm like, okay, I'm up 20. That's kind of where I wanted to be, but I kind of wanted it to be an SLM trade, and if it went to it, it would get me out instead of just clicking the button and it gets out of that trade. That's something I've had to learn a little bit more about, um, how to utilize Ninja Trader's Dome as opposed to the Dome that I was using prior to that for almost 10 years or 8 years at Commodity Trade, not Commodity, Cunningham Trade Systems, CTS. I mean, you could drop and drag your trade. You could take it, pick it up, and drop it. Um, if there's a third-party feature that I could add to that Dome, I probably, in some point, probably start using that at some point in Ninja Trader. So I'm not a huge fan of that SLM trade that you try to put in, because and I haven't made up my mind officially how I like to take my losses. So it takes some time to understand how to use the new trading platform, and it also takes time to learn how to use the threshold here at Apex. That threshold max value is you think, okay, 2,500, and that seems pretty far, but when you get close to around, you have a $2,000 loss, all of a sudden the 500 bucks isn't that much. If you're trading two contracts, if the thing goes against you just a little bit, you've lost that threshold. So um, it's a little bit harder. It's a harder thing to do at this point. There's no, my last one that I was up $1,800, and I gave back the gains on one trading day, and that's seems to be my biggest fault that I have right now at Apex, because I'm trying to figure out where do I want to have that hard stop for me. Obviously, 1,000 is not enough, because I hit that over and over again, and I say, well, $1,000 loss, I'm not willing to stop trading. I can get it back. There's the key component that I keep telling myself. I can get it back. Whenever I hear that in my head, when I'm thinking it, that's usually a great time to stop trading. I can get it back. Um, because you find yourself, like when I'm watching people at the casino, they have a one more win philosophy, right? I watched this guy lose $23,000 on my table one day, and I just need one more win. But he ends up taking a $6,000 winning day and giving all that back plus $23,000 more playing blackjack in less than 8 hours on one of my shifts. So um, you find a lot of that type of people in trading as well. Just one more win. All I need to do at this point is I can get this back, right? I can get this back. If I had $1 for every time I said that in my head, that in a sense is one of the greatest weaknesses that I have as a trader, is I say to myself, I can get that back. The good news is that I'm only investing, in this case, at 80% off discount right now. It's like 30 bucks on the 50K. So and then when I get into the PA, I'm paying 80. It was 85 now, 80, 85, whatever that PA account. I think it's 85. I'm paying 90 something dollars with the tax, the Texas tax coming from Daryl's um, uh, website called Apex Trader Funding. So in a nutshell, it's a lot cheaper, right? You're not physically losing $2,500 at a pop. You're only losing the amount of money that you're willing to invest in a month. That has been the greatest way that I've found to use in the day trading realm to make money in this kind of environment. The last couple of years, actually the last 3 or 4 years that I was trading at the prior company, I ended up making more money than I lost over the years. Now this year, I haven't made any money at Apex at this point, because I haven't been able to cash out. And the only money that you can count as real money is money that you actually physically hold, right? Jesse Livermore talked about that. Every year he would go at the end of the year when he was winning, he would cash that money out and put it into a bank and put it into um, what's those things called you pull out inside of a bank. Um, anyway, so he had those. Now I can't think of the name of that right now. Uh, Ken, what was his last name? Ken. Anyway, Jesse Livermore talked about getting little boxes, right, and putting that money in the box and making sure that you physically have a hold of that money. The only safe money in trading is money that you pull out, was one of his greatest quotes. It sticks with me. So as a trader, until you physically get a hold of that money or you convert it into something of physical value, for instance, silver or gold, buying something that'll appreciate in value or whatnot, not a car. I used to do that back in the day. I bought my Monte Carlo SS, one of my favorite vehicles I've had in my lifetime. I remember going down to the Chevy dealer and paying cash for it out of my trading account. That was one of the greatest wins I ever had, right? So I went down there and the guy, one of the dudes wanted to sell, didn't want to sell the vehicle to me because I was not dressed. I was in my early 20s at this point. And, and he's like, well, this guy doesn't have anything. And he comes over, and another guy was hungry, right? That's the best way I can put it. He was hungry. He's like, what do you want? I said, I want that Monte Carlo SS right there, that silver one. Oh, yeah. And he kind of smiled at me, but then he said, all right, let's work it out. Let's work out the finance details. I said, no, give me the best cash price that you got. I'm going to pay cash. And he's like, that was one of the greatest victories I had as a trader, so being able to, and I wouldn't recommend that now, but, when you have that kind of money that you've won, and then being able to pay cash for something, it was that was one of those awesome things that you could do in your lifetime. So that's some of the value that you can find as being in trading, so I was quite younger. I didn't have my children at that point. So I found my risk tolerance levels a lot different as time went on because of children, right? So having a house, having to pay bills, a mortgage, make sure your lights are on, the water's paid for, you got air working right now, like the air conditioner is working on a 90 plus day, right? You have bills to pay. I always thought when I was a younger man that if I went belly up, hey, I'll just move in with my parents, right? Well, that doesn't work when your parents your dad's no longer living, and you have children that'll eat you out of house and home right now. My oldest is 19, and my youngest just turned 17 a couple days ago. So you have to you learn real quick that money is more valuable as you get older, and your risk tolerance level is a little bit different when you have other people depending upon you to make your monthly, so you don't have that quote, right? There's too much month at the end of the money, right? So I've had those months too as trading. As a trader, you have to be willing to understand you're going to have lean months and you're going to have feast and famine, basically, right? So take advantage of those times that you're doing well. Pull money out of the account because like I said, like Jesse Livermore said many years ago, he said the only safe money in trading is money that you actually physically pull out of the account. So, and I've had those times in my lifetime too. I've had times where I was up a couple $100,000 and given $100,000 back. You just think, what did I just do right there, right? So I remember being up $250,000 at one point in my lifetime and giving up 50,000 in one trading day, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I just gave away $50,000 of my money. And it was one of those days that I look back and I thought all the things that I could have bought with that 50,000, right? So that was my biggest loss that I ever had. I think was close to that. So it was over a 3-day period of time that I was unwilling to you know take the loss. So you find yourself in these moments in your lifetime that you think, I'm smarter than the market. As you get older, you figure out that there's more things that you don't know. And I think that's where wisdom kicks in, right? Your wisdom starts kicking in when you figure out there's more things that you don't know than you do know. And I think that's what I want to leave you with today on this little rant that I did today. As you learn to trade, as you get better and more proficient at trading, there's going to be things that you're going to learn, and there's going to be things that you're going to throw away. Your toolbox that you learn and you keep there, that no one can ever take, like Alzheimer's, I guess, can take it away, right? But outside of something physically taken away from you mentally, when you build up your trading environment, when you build up that trader's toolbox, when you have those things that you can rely upon that win more than lose, those are where you're going to find your greatest victories as you get older, right? You're going to see things that other people think, why would you do that? But you, from your trading experience, from your hours that you put in front of the screen time, you understand what you're going at. Listen to that inner voice, though. I guess that's my greatest words of wisdom that I could share with you right now. When the last day I lost, I was up 15 ticks, and I said, I'm just going to trade one trade and be done and walk away. Well, I didn't listen to myself. Before I even started that day, I said, you know what, I need a break right now. I need to physically take some time away from trading. So my inner voice is saying, I need a break. Well, I caused my break because I ended up over trading and losing that last EA account. So in fact, if I would have just listened to my inner voice and not trade until I was ready to trade, take that week off, like I was saying to myself on that Monday, Tuesday. Take that week off, take next week off, and then come back the week after that and start trading again, or somewhere around the 11th, or maybe even not until August, like I like to do. I like to take July off a lot of times. I like to take this period of time to recharge the batteries. Listen to that inner voice. That's some of the things that you can do in your own future as well as you learn to be trading and a trader, is to learn when to stop, learn when to take a break, learn when to just enjoy the flowers that are growing around you, right? Enjoy, enjoy just being alive. All right. All right, that was a little rant that I want to go on for a while. And I think I spoke about as much as I can with as much wisdom as I can share in 27 minutes, almost 28 now. This is Dave Knight here from 123daytrade.com. I appreciate you listening to me today. God bless you. Happy 4th of July to those in the Americas and here in the United States. And yeah, the funniest meme I saw recently wasn't was the inflation was caused with Biden falling off the bike was because of the overinflated tires, right? Overinflation. So his tires are overinflated. So be careful out there. It's kind of crazy right now, right? So we're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. This is still, we've got another, what, 2.5 years of under this. This is actually, he's worse. His presidency's worse than Jimmy Carter's right now. And I remember as a kid, the odd and even lines in the gas stations, getting gas at that point. And back there, they were talking about the inflationary cost right now. And what we found out right now, that Biden's economy and Biden economics that we're in right now is worse than it was in the Carter regime. All right, be careful. God bless, take care. I'll see you in the next video I'll put together. Bye for now. See you. Bye now.